Welcome to our summer camp, one of my favorite places on earth. So there are three big things when we first bought our summer house, or what we call a camp up here in Maine. Three things you need to know to get the house ready to go. One is propane. Super simple in this house. Pop open the propane tank. Make sure you actually have propane. You never want to run out. It's a whole long, complicated thing. Don't worry. Your propane company will tell you. Open up the valve so the propane's running here. We'll go inside, get the propane stove going. All right, so we've got a propane heater. There's a little switch on the back, turn the propane on. We've turned the propane on at the tank. And now what you gotta do is turn this knob to pilot. Once you get it turned to pilot, once you hit this knob, turn to pilot, you just push it in. It's gonna click a bunch. Then when you think it's ready, you're gonna turn it to on and hit go, and it won't be. Oh, we got lucky here. Usually takes a lot longer than that, so you wanna keep the pilot light lit, usually for about 30 to 45 seconds. Then you're gonna flip it to on, push the on button here, and then if you wanna add a fan to blow the heat out, turn it on here. You can turn up the amount of propane and really warm up the place, or keep the propane a little more conservative. So that's how it works. All right, on to the second big hurdle for getting the house ready. This is our water line. It goes from the pump all the way down to the lake. And we've got to install this metal filter, and that's going to allow us to suck in water without allowing any sediment to go into the line. And we use this water for bathing, washing dishes, etc., but we don't drink it. So we're just going to shove this piece a little deeper in here. We're going to find a hole in the ice. Fortunately, the dog just fell in, so we'll use that hole to put this into the water. Now, this will not be the ideal setup, but for the short term, we've got our water line into the slushy ice water, and we should be able to get water up to the house. Part of the excitement of coming back to camp is seeing what damage happened over the winter. So you can hear all this ice here. It actually pushed up, broke the front of our deck here. The two metal poles that belong on the sides are both cracked over. So we'll have some fun work fixing that this summer. Yay. This is our water pump. All right, the big things you need to know, there's a filter that goes right in this piece here with that plastic piece around it. And that cap is what we take off, pour water into there, and then plug it in and get the system going. You also need to go around the house and make sure you close up all the sinks and drains and holes we've got. So we've done that in the bathroom already. We'll go check the sink in the kitchen, then we'll go outside and turn off a couple of valves that could be open there. So back here are the shutoffs for our washer dryers. We've got to make sure those are all connected and turned off. Really helps to label them. So we've got one labeled cold, and we have the other zip tied to our overflow, wastewater outwater pipe here, which will go down into this tube right behind us. So that way it's easy for us to know which one's hot, which one's cold. It's also labeled on the stud back there, so we don't have to move the washer dryer stacked combo just to do it. One of the great things about having a small camp is that there's only a few sources where the water comes out inside: washer dryer, kitchen sink, and the bathroom sink, shower, toilet. So we're at the kitchen sink now. We've got to reattach that nozzle on the front. That little white plastic clip is just holding the line so it doesn't retract inside the main housing. And now once we put that back together, screw it in tight, make sure the water is turned off, we can move on to the next step. So the next step is to make sure we've got our filters for the water pump and a funnel so we can dump water into the system, and a couple of buckets that we need to clean out a little bit. Let's go check out where the filter goes. All right, we've installed our filter in the appropriate housing. The water right above is still set on off. Now we're going to grab this specialized wrench and really make sure it's nice and snug. Now that we've got that in place, we always have a little overflow bowl just in case we get some drips there. But to be honest, we're going to make a mess today. So grab a bunch of towels, throw them on the floor. If you have a bunch of weights laying around the way I do and they're rusty, get them out of the way. They're going to leave stains. Just be prepared to have a lot of mess in the area, especially the first couple times you do this. Now we've got to head back outside to the deck and deal with getting some water. And this is a new one for this year. Got to strain out the ice. Usually the ice is melted out by the time we start this, but late ice melt this year. It sure is beautiful though. Back at the water pump, we've got our funnel in place, we've got a towel out, we've got our bucket ready. And we're going to start pouring some water into that funnel until the line fills up and you physically see the water like filling up to the funnel line. Then we pull the funnel out, screw that cap back in with the pressure gauge, flip the switch to turn on the pump, and see if it catches. Now, it never catches the first time. It usually doesn't catch for a couple times, so you just got to keep playing the game. Let's hear how it sounds when it's not catching. Here we go. So that's the sound of the water pump running, but the water not pulling to the system. There's just too much air for it to compete with. Now we're trying again. And we'll try again and again, and around the fourth or fifth time, we'll finally see some change. So that's 2 down, but there are 3 things we have to do when we reopen the cabin. And the last one is just critter proofing. You might get ants, you might get mice, whatever it might be, you've got to figure out a strategy to keep them out. So what I'm doing here is filling some small gaps with steel wool. In case mice do try to get in here, this will keep them from being able to chew through the foam that we're going to apply afterwards. The foam will keep out bugs and everything, but this is a little more heavy-duty solution, which in a summer cabin is always a good idea. All right, now that we've got heat, water, and all the little critters are kept outside, we can finally relax. Of course, that's when the power went out for the night. So I guess we'll do some reading around the only light source we've got. We woke up the next morning, we were treated to this perfect view. What a beautiful place, little slice of heaven on earth. If you like this video, please subscribe, share with your friends. Thanks for watching.